Thank you for tuning in to this week's edition of Stop, Look, and Listen. I'm your host, LaTroy Gardner. This week, we have one of the most memorable voices in hip-hop history. We have the original member and lead vocalist of the Timex Social Club. But you may know him, as the vocalist behind the classic I Got Five on It with the Loonies. We got Michael Marshall, aka Meezy, this week. How you doing, Meezy?
Good. Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
All right, no problem, man. Good to have you. Just talk about growing up in the Bay and just how Meezy became the vocalist that we remember. Getting your start in church, I assume.
Yeah, of course. That's where I started singing. My mom was the director of the children's choir, and she sang in the adult choir. So I was around the music of the church a lot at both places that I remember us going to church at. And from there, I started playing the trumpet because my singing was getting me in trouble in elementary school. So they got me into music. So I started with the trumpet, and then I moved to the trombone. And then in junior high, they had a singing class, and I was excited about that because that's pretty much all I was doing, as a kid. Wasn't really playing any sports or anything like that. It was just church and home as far as I remember when I was younger. So the singing class, I was like, oh yeah, well, I know how to sing. Maybe I can basically get a good grade in this class pretty easily. And it introduced me to show tunes and other genres of music besides for gospel and the little bit of soul that I was hearing. Then that led me to singing a talent show in junior high. So I sang a song that I knew very well and that I can get up there and do and not be too nervous, singing in front of my peers. But it was a gospel song, and they didn't receive that too well. So I kind of moved away from the singing thing and just kept doing it in church. But when I got to high school, there were more people noticing that I could sing because I was singing everywhere. I always sang. Like I said, it was getting me in trouble. Then I did a talent show in my first year of high school, 10th grade, and I won it. And then the way people responded to that kind of got me kind of moving in that direction. And then from there, that's when around the time of the Timex, because from the 10th grade to senior year, I did talent shows. There was a group of guys who I hung out with who were really into music. It was a mixologist group, DJs, right? And I wasn't one, but the guys who I hung out with, my buddies like Marcus, the guy who you interviewed before, Marcus, Greg, and Darian and I are all kind of like music geeks. We was getting into not different genres, but I was hearing more music with them than I was hearing at home. Like I said, it was all gospel. So us hanging out and getting into music and all that stuff. And turns out Marcus wrote lyrics and I was singing. So I have a memory of him asking me to do some stuff with him early on, but I think we kind of made fun of it, if I remember it right. Yeah, I think we kind of joked about that. Anyway, as time went on, after high school, I was taking music classes at college, a piano class. So one of the songs that I was trying to learn how to play in this piano class, because you could sit there with your headphones on, and after you did what you were supposed to learn, you can freestyle on it. I was trying to learn the bass line and the music to I Keep Forgetting by Michael McDonald. And me humming that around the house all the time. I can't remember clearly, but me and Marcus came together. Maybe he asked me because he heard me playing it. Or I think I remember us playing the music, what I had in my head, into the Casio onto this 4-track cassette recorder. And then, then he put his lyrics with it and had me sing that. And then that was something that we were fooling around with at the house. And we were in good ties with the activity coordinator at our high school. So the talent show that happened the year we graduated, we wanted to be in that talent show. I did, to keep my run going because I was winning them all. But she said, "No, you don't go anymore. You can't do that. But you can do something as like a break as the judges are judging the other artists. Like an in between thing." So we had this song, "Rumors." Marcus wrote the lyrics, and then I sang it and did the music, and we had put it together and mixed it so that it sounded pretty good. And we performed that in front of the students, and they really, really liked the song. There was a guy who worked in the Black Studies department at our high school who was a TA. He went to Cal. His name was Charles. And he heard that song, and he kind of liked it, and he saw the reaction to it. So he thought maybe he could, I guess the word would be, shop it around. We didn't know what any of that meant. We just gave him a copy of it, and he ran with it. So on his vacation, he played it for a lot of people that he knew that was in the industry, and they was digging the song. So he came back and put that bug in our ear. So we were trying to figure out what to do from there. But yeah, that's kind of how that song kind of came together as I remember.
So basically, the creative process with yourself and Marcus was he was the songwriter, and you pretty much handled the keys.
Yes.
Okay. So let's look at the.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut you off. But another way that you can put that in the way that I always put it is Marcus wrote the lyrics and I wrote the music.
Okay.
We wrote the song together.
So back in the early 80s, when Timex crew got together, the musical landscape, it was a lot of Minnesota funk was heavy. But then in the Oakland area, it was known for bands such as Sly and the Family Stone and Tower of Power. So what made you guys decide to go in the direction that you went into?
Okay. First, you got to understand that we weren't aware of that. We were just living during that time. We weren't aware of that. And to be honest, I wasn't aware of all of those groups and all of the music. I knew some of the more popular songs that I would hear all the time. If you want me to stay, I'll be. I know that song. I know that that's Sly, but I didn't know all of his library back then, and didn't know the significance of what he was doing. Same as with Tower of Power and any of those other groups that were out and about when we were at that point. We see inside of that mixologist group, there was different fractions, right? You had a dude from Detroit who was a really good dancer. And then he probably knew music from that region, but he was a friend, as well as all of us, of what Prince was doing with that whole little thing. You had the time, you had the guitar player who had the album that was Pink, I forgot his name. But they all had this kind of sound that we were kind of into. So there was that, and then there was Michael Jackson, which was who I was really into. So those were really what influenced what we were doing. Now that melody from Michael McDonald was just something that I had in my head, but maybe the way that Marcus wrote was based around some of that stuff. But the music was just basically that melody from my head from Michael McDonald. So I don't think that we thought we were creating a genre or going in a direction away from something else. We were just doing it, and then it started to catch grown-ups who thought like what you were talking about, and maybe they heard all that. But for us, it was just a song that we did that people were liking, and we wanted to have a vinyl record to play that was ours when we were doing our things. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, you did. So just talk about how the group transition from the Timex Club to Timex Social Club? Well, Timex Crew to Timex Social Club.
Okay, so one of the people who Charles let hear that song was from Sacramento, Vallejo, and he liked it so much he wanted to record it. So he invested money into us going into a real studio, 24 track back then. It was Starlight Studios in Richmond. And my memory is vague on a lot of that because back then you had to book out hours and it took a while to do things because you had to do everything separately. That's what some of these young kids don't understand. It wasn't like it wasn't like it is now. It was not uh, an arena that goes on where your Pro Tools and your Logics and all that are a platform where things can go on forever. You can land at the same time and you can manipulate them a little bit more because it's in a digital format where you can move it around. Analog, you have to play every single sound one at a time, the length of the song.
Mm-hmm.
So this took hours before you even get to the point where you can sing. But we were there for all of that. So my memory of some of that is vague because we were there 2 times, 16 hours each. But this gentleman from the Sacramento Vallejo area, Jay King, he took us into Starlight and had us record that. So in our mind, we could be able to get it onto vinyl.
Mm-hmm.
In my mind, that's all I knew. That's what we were doing. But yeah, once it was on vinyl, and then Jay King was able to pitch it in a different format to a different group of people. He felt that was something that was going to work. That was something to invest into. So that's how it turned from a clique in high school to the name of a group that's making music, not in a band form. It was, MIDI, analog sounds, and nobody was playing anything. The guys who did the production in the studio, and when I say production, these are the guys who recorded it, added all the other sounds that went along with what we played, fill sounds, all that kind of thing, and then recorded me in a professional way was Denzel Foster and Thomas McElroy from FM Studios. They did the Tonys, Club Nouveau, in both.
Right.
So yeah, that's how I went from the club to the Timex Social Club.
Okay, so from my interview with Marcus, he said that he wrote the song back in 1982, 83, and it finally hit big in 86, and it was a #1 R&B and dance hit. When you got the lyrics from Marcus with the rumors, like how did you guys relate to it? Like it was like rumors being spread about you guys, or just talk about your remembrance of that song when it was being conceived.
So, like I say, we were a group, a club in high school. So
Right.
when he says 82, that's our junior year of high school. Marcus, like I say, I didn't know he was really making music. We were just into records. So I'm not sure when and how he did it, but when you ask to the what the story, it's all reminiscent of things that we experienced in school. I mean, the part about Tina, guy who tasted her juice. There's a girl we went to high school with named Tina. May she rest in peace. And that was based slightly around her as a cheerleader interacting with the quarterback of our high school. The one about Michael, and they say if he wasn't gay, he would move that way. That's Michael Jackson, because that was my guy who I was a big fan of, and they were big fans of Prince's, right?
Uh-huh.
So it's not politically correct, but back then it was the joke and the tag that Prince seems very effeminate, but your guy Mike, we think he's very effeminate too. So it's the back and forth thing. So, damn, I lost track of what we were talking about. What did you ask me?
Just pretty much your.
I was telling you what the story was. So, and then the other part, there was Michael, Tina. Yeah, most of it was based around what we were going through in high school, and around the people we dealt with, or the things that we liked. Like I said before, the Michael Jackson thing.
Okay, so I mean, you guys pretty much like went from performing locally at like parties and like YMC facilities to having a #1 single. Just talk about that meteoric rise and how your life changed so drastically in a matter of a short time frame.
Okay, so you referenced Marcus said 82 to 85, 86. Okay, so it went from it just being something we're doing and fooling around with like a video game. It turns into something that we can show our friends, hence the talent show when we performed it, to a thing where real grown-ups are paying attention to the situation, starting to come at us in different ways. And then you got people who want to invest into it, the J. Kings. Now we record it. Now it's out there in the sense of people are hearing it. So the song to the grown-ups was going to be a hit. To us, it was just something that we liked and we were excited people liked it. But then other parties started to come in. J. King has this piece of vinyl, and he has a receipt that he recorded this in the studio on his dime. But now he wants us, because he's going to pitch this to investors, they want to know that he signed us. Now, he doesn't know the music business any more than we do, but he's heard of contracts and stuff before too. So he knows he needs to get us on paper as his artist in one way, form, or the other, as management, or we're his actual artists, we're on his label. He needs something. But when he comes back and pitches it to us, in my opinion, it sounded like the stuff we were reading about involving Prince when he was trying to break free, and Michael Jackson when he was trying to get away from his dad and all the different things that were in the not the tabloids, but in the trade magazines, because we was really into this music shit. So we was all over the shit. So keep losing my train of thought, but I think we're talking about this situation. Okay, so look.
Yeah, like how the group just blew up and then how it affected, your life as far as, adjusting from being, an artist, making music around the house to eventually making it to the Raising Hell tour.
Well, again, it all happened fast within that period of time. So after Jay brings that contract to us, and we, in the short story, we tell him no. We didn't really fully understand what that meant, but we told him no. He said he was going to go and get some other people because he really, in his mind, he really needed that. So the situation started where it's us as the people who created it against a guy who actually has the recording and the master. So we feel we need some help. We get somebody referred to us. We go to him. He is a A&R guy for Warner Brothers. He has a couple of hits under his belt as an independent label. He did the Ducky Fresh, the show on Dania Records. So this guy is helping us out, but at the same time, they all have their own agendas. So Jay King goes and starts Club Nouveau, and we're with this guy, Dave Lucchese. So now the best thing to do is promote the song because it's kind of taken off. So that's how we end up on the Raising Hell tour. Now the song wasn't being played that much in the Bay Area, just a little bit, right? On the college stations and the understations, nothing big. But Texas, K-Day, they broke the record. And you know how the music industry works. If one region has something that's winning, the other ones want it. Even if that product is from another region that hasn't made it win, it's winning in the South. So it swings back to California. And now they're playing it all the time. That's when we start to realize and notice that it's bigger. But all this time, J. King's moving with Club Nouveau, and they're starting to do their thing. And we're getting the promotion work. So that's basically what that Raising Hell thing was. He pitched it to us as, how would you like to play at the Coliseum with on the Raising Hell tour when they come here? We was excited and we were pumped. We knew who those people were, and we're kids, so we're a little starstruck. We're excited about doing that, so we do that at a insanely low price. But at the time, we didn't know how it was supposed to work. But like you say, we had the #1 song, and normally to get onto a tour, you have to buy on. But we didn't have to buy on. They needed us. The Beastie Boys weren't going to play on this leg of the tour that they're about to go on into the South. So they needed another act. Why not get an act with the #1 song? But we did that without representation. So we kind of got ourselves into a bad situation out there for 15 more dates, but having to pay our own way and then getting way, way, way less than the other artists who are on the tour. Like I said, we have the #1 song, so we should be paid accordingly, but we didn't have representation. So that was the start of some of the more serious funk inside our universe. Now, Club Nouveau and Jay, they feel like they're losing. I mean, we out there. People are starting to see us now, whereas before it was just a record. And that's when, like I say, all the other stuff happened. But yeah, that's kind of what happened between, like he says, 82 and then pretty much 87.
Okay. So with Rumors being the monumental smash that it was, historians sort of debate whether or not Rumors was the first song to fuse hip hop and R&B. Just give us your take on that.
I haven't really heard that there was a debate about it. All I know is that that was the category we were in for a long time. It was the rap category. And then after I left the group and started going out to do it by myself, promoting and singing that song, people were always surprised when they met me. I thought that you were a rapper. You're an actual singer. I heard that for like 8 years from the beginning. So I think the cadence of it and the way it was moving and my voice, people thought I was Jamaican and they thought it was just some Jamaican new kind of flow. That's the feeling that I got from my interaction with it. So yeah, I didn't know that there was a debate. I always thought it was considered a rap thing too, which is why I kind of like wonder why we're not included in a lot of these categories, because Timex and that song kind of brought more light to the Bay Area right before Too Short started doing his thing, and he brought light to it. But I guess there's confusion in whether it was an R&B song or a rap song.
Yeah, so they were saying that the Raising Hell tour sort of broke hip hop in the Bay Area. Is that true?
But when they say broke, we were playing all the music. We knew all the songs, so they was being played here. We had everybody. We knew, man. That wasn't breaking rap. We had, when I was in junior high, there was the Rappers Night and all those different. What was that? Sugar Hill Gang shit, all that.
Yeah,
We have been here now. I don't believe we were behind like that. I mean, maybe on some of the East Coast stuff, but we knew of all the East Coast. Yeah, we knew. Yeah, no, that wasn't new to the Bay Area. That's why it was so out. We all knew that stuff. Yeah.
Because I was confused. I was confused because I read it in an article and I was like, nah, that can't be the case.
Nah, not when I was living it. We all, it was in people's cars. Yeah. They were playing it loud and loud. We knew what was going on with rap.
All right, so the Raising Hell tour included yourself, Run DMC, Houdini, LL Cool J, Beastie Boys.
No Beastie Boys. We
not on your leg. Not on your leg of the tour. Okay. So, just talk about that experience with these legends and who you got close with on the tour, and just all of the fun that you had competing for groupies or whatever.
Yeah, it was bittersweet. Like I say, we were out there on our own for the first time, really. I know in my lifetime that was the first time I was out in all those different places without a quote unquote grown up. We thought we were grown. Um, the shows were were they were great, man. At the end, when Run Them were on, when they did "I'm the King of Rock," there is none higher. That's when you would bring everybody onto the stage, all the
Hmm.
other artists, so we get to dance out there every night that we performed. And that feeling I still remember, because it was like, wow, I'm out here with all these guys who, you know, I listen to, and they're considered, stars in the music, and we out here with them. And it's weird. I never thought of it as we were their equals, in the sense of it was more like we were lucky to be there, and they were, the people we saw in the magazines. It wasn't so much TV right then. Yeah, it was more magazines and wherever else we would see. Oh, I guess there was some video stuff going on back then, but yeah. So yeah, it was bittersweet in the sense of it was rough trying to race to the next cities uh, to meet up with the rest of the tour, because like I say, we were on our own. And then after a while, one of the songs we were doing, another song Marcus wrote the lyrics and I did the music. It's called "Thinking About You." Um, to enhance the way the music sounded from what I did on the Casio into the 4-track, we incorporated a guy who we knew 1 year older than us from high school, who was already a DJ, very good DJ too. His name is Alex Hill. Uh, and he had all these toys and gadgets where he could manipulate MIDI. So he programmed what he heard in the stuff that I played music wise, and had him play automatically when you touch it. The 808 and the Dr. Rhythm, all these little MIDI gadgets that could play uh, when you press a button, all the things that you had laid out. So one of the songs, "Thinking About You," he didn't quite grasp what I was playing, but getting onto the tour and then it turning from one show to 15 was like this. We finished that show in the Bay Area. Uh, Someone spoke on our behalf and got us into these 15 shows. So we had to leave immediately. So we had to get a reno and get everything organized. So there was no time to fix that because it was a thing. And so I had to sing that song in a key that was uncomfortable uh, for the whole tour. And I stressed a little bit about it, and I started getting this growth on my face. It was just too much, man.
Hmm.
It was a lot of, it was new. It was new. Although it was fun, of course, there's the groupie stuff, but of course there's that. But we weren't how you say we weren't that famous, so it wasn't like all the time or as intense as probably the other guys are getting.
Right.
I'll tell you a quick story. There was one time where some young ladies we partied with asked us the next morning when were the acts that they had saw were leaving, and they went down the list. When's Run Them leaving? Oh, I think they might have left last night. They got their own bus, blah blah blah. When's Houdini leaving? Oh, they ballers. They be flying. They probably left this morning, blah blah blah. When's LL? I don't know. I don't know. But when's the Timex Social Club? He was like, what? We are the Timex Social Club. For real? So then after they do all that screaming stuff, I'm curious. So who did you think we were? Oh, we just thought you guys was roadies. Oh, so we got all this attention from you guys just thinking we were roadies. I'll never forget that. That was very enlightening.
Hmm. All right. So, you just mentioned "Thinking About You." Um, which it's definitely another classic from the group that Jay King used to make a hit on his behalf with Club Nouveau. Same with Rumors and Jealousy. Just talk about the dynamics of that situation where he was involved like as a producer somewhat, and then what did he have access to the music and just took it and used it for Club Nouveau instead of um, using it with you guys? Like, how
So,
did all of that transpire?
well, this is what I was talking about between 82 and 87. Once Jake King paid for the studio time, he had the master in hand. We didn't know what that was or even what that meant. So we figured we were just going to get a copy and then we can use it to play at parties. It turned into a thing where now he sees money with it. So when he came back to us, like I explained to him, he needed to have us on paper because he had investors.
Mhm.
Um, he didn't have our signature. So when he presented it to us, it wasn't something we wanted to do. That upset him. So he said he was going to go start another group. Fuck you guys. I don't need you guys. I'll go start another group and tell them I had to change the name and that this is the original group. And that's exactly what he did. Now, while he was putting that together and Rumors is out there and we're on the Raising Hell tour, the turbulence starts. But in a short story version of it, me, Marcus, and Alex are the face of this group, the Timex Social Club. But I'm the only one singing, right? And I'm doing the music. Now, Marcus had written these lyrics, like he said, years ago. And the one, Thinking About You, was made written sooner because it's about a relationship that I had with the woman. So the funk started to brew because a few things. When the song took off and we're working with Dave Lucchese, he's like, we need to do an album. We only have that one song. What's the next thing? Let's follow up one. So we all go into the studio. He takes us to Fantasy, and this is our first time in a situation like this. We did all this in Marcus's apartment, in the microphone in the closet, keyboard out here, all these wires going through the house. It was kind of rigged. But now we're in this real studio with this white dude who can play anything we tell him. We don't know what to do. Now I have some ideas because that's what I do. I write music. I hear it in my head, but I don't know how to get it out. I think the label sees that, and he's trying to cut costs and trying to get the thing focused. Long story short, the group breaks up. They continue to work with me, and now it's the Timex Social Club featuring Mike Marshall. So he wants to get this album done. So he puts me with a guy named Jay Logan, who can also play anything that I sing. So I hum some ideas to him, 15, 16 of them, and we get these songs together and we put out the album, which is the Timex Social Club featuring Mike Marshall, Vicious Rumors, the album.
Right.
And that's the one that has Thinking About You in it. So Jay King and Jay has gotten this offer from Warner Brothers, right? So now he has that master in hand, so he has that song. They don't know what he's doing in the studio. They think that Jay sang that song.
Hmm.
So now he's got to put the group together and he's got to make some shit sound like what would sound like what that group would do off what I did. My guy, Dave Lucchese, is an A&R guy for Warner Brothers. He gave him the master that he made me do in a hurry, let them study it. Jay has admitted to this and made us wait to release it. So then when we release my album, their album comes out and things start to sound similar. So now there's confusion as to who is Club Nouveau and are they the same as Timex? That was never really cleared up. So then all the confusion came behind that. So Jay, that's how he had the music and he was able to copy it because he was now in business with Warner Brothers and Warner Brothers had an A&R guy who had me.
Okay. So like with you and the other members of Timex Social Club, like after all of that happened and you disbanded and released the Vicious Rumors, um like what happened to to yourself after that? Say from 87 to like 93, 94. Were you so disenchanted with the music industry that you wanted to just move on and um, divorce, what you love because of all of the snake behavior, or
I
are you
tried.
trying to work on a solo career?
No, I tried. After we, yeah, I tried, but it wasn't the management I had at the time had different ideas about the next direction that I did.
Hmm.
So along with breaking up in a group with some guys that I'd known from high school who were my clique, these were my guys. We've done
Right.
some shit together that we're bonded forever. Those are my guys. But then the confusion of this music business and us not knowing enough and adults being involved who did, that caused that breakup. So now I got that on my heart. And now the songs that I've done are being copied. And now what I've created is being confused so that I'm not getting credit. Then it's a very small town. Berkeley is, the Bay Area. Everywhere I went, I got the same question. What happened?
Hmm.
Don't really have an answer because I didn't really understand back then what it was. I'm young, fatherless, raised by my mom. I'm the oldest. It's too much.
Right.
So I get into drugs. So for a while, that's was what I was doing. I didn't really have to do anything else. There was promotional stuff. We still trying to show the press who I am compared to who Club Nouveau is. So we going back and forth to LA. Now we're in the South. We're doing some things. Uh, but it's still an upward battle. And the record labels and record companies don't want to deal with me. Now, there, there's an argument that they were saying that because they knew about my drug issues. But the drug issue didn't keep me from doing all the work and being where I was supposed to be. It wasn't acute at the time. And there were other established artists who had the same issues and they weren't being uh, blackballed. So I
Right.
don't believe that that was one of the things. But I know Warner Brothers invested money into Jay King, believing that they had the Timex Social Club. And when Jay King's things weren't working, and the only thing that worked was a cover song, "The Lean on Me," and they didn't really make that much money from that. Now, now they can't. To save face, they can't let me back in because once I get back in, if I sing something that wins, they're gonna be like, "Who was he and where'd he come from?" Then that story will come out. So we were wrong. All those people who believed, what's his name? Benny Medina, all those people that believed in Jay and in Club Nouveau, they got to answer to, well, who is this dude? And that kind of came up when during this time that I'm doing drugs, I still need to make money. So now there's this new uh, arena to make money where I can sing hooks for these rappers who are all trying to get on now that the window's been open in the Bay and there's all kind of people looking now, right?
Hmm.
All kinds of people in the Bay Area looking for artists and looking for groups and stuff like that. Um, Damn, I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, so I find this genre and I start working with a guy named Anthony Gilmore, another guy I went to school with. I don't remember that well from school, but I know he went to school with us there. And he does music. So um, he hooked me up with some artists who will pay for me to sing the hook on their stuff. You know, Tone's producing these beats from these these grooves and samples that are in my head. So then, I'm creative. So I'm making things to go with it. So I start singing these hooks for work. And that's how I come across a situation with the Loonies. Those were some young rappers who came in who were trying to get a hit from an established producer, Tone Capone, who had some hits out there on these underground hip hop and rap artists. And so I stumbled in on that situation. So then now there's my voice on a track that was originally made for me. That track was made by Denzel Foster and Thomas McElroy, again, the guys from FM who did 2021. I have them on record saying that that music was actually written for me and based on my voice because they believed that after that session that they were going to be working with me. They didn't
Hmm.
know all the things that Jay was doing. And I had a small conversation with Denny and Tommy about the Thinking About You track, because that was the only music that we had that was going to be next. And then being producers, they were asking, so what's the next thing you got, when they came over to the house? So we showed them that, and I gave them some ideas. And it was weird to hear Why You Treat Me So Bad come on the radio. And when I heard those strings, I was like, that's the stuff that I was telling those guys that I wanted at the beginning of that Thinking About You song, but then I didn't really trip on it. But then as it went on, and then I could hear that melody, I was like, that's the original bass line from the Thinking About You that I made. Because that bass line is based on, there was a guy named, he had the Buffalo Gal song.
Malcolm McLaurin. Yeah.
Yeah, so he had this song, three Buffalo girls go round the outside, round the outside, round the outside. You know it. He's scratching different things in to make this group go. And one of the things he had going in there was bub 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 bub, that kind of thing. So that's an earworm to me. And that shit stayed in my head. So that's another thing that I was playing. But to make it melodic, he was going ba-da-ba-dum, 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 ba-da-ba-dum. So that's the basis of Thinking About You that they used for Why You Treat Me So Bad, which came back around to me to use when I got 5 on it.
Right. So initially, I Got 5 on it was credited to Club Nouveau.
Yes.
And you didn't receive royalties for about 10 years per se. Just talk about getting all the business straightened out. I think from what I read, you got married and your wife helped get the business in order.
Yeah. So the two differences between Rumors business and I Got 5 on it business was the lessons that I learned in between the two. So what I didn't get from Rumors and didn't know to ask for, I knew to ask for from I Got 5 on it. So in meetings with gangsters who were the only people who were involved in this, I said I wanted that. They wanted my voice, so they agreed to that. When I took that to my lawyer when the song came out, and I needed to get some kind of proof, because all I thought was that I, get the proof and then the money would start coming. I went to a lawyer, and then we got documentation with me and Tone that we would split what he was getting, because they didn't include me in the numbers. The Tone wanted to be fair, so he would give me half of what he got. So that paperwork I kept and tucked, and then went back into my addiction, because the song took off. Now there's more questions. It's just too much. When I get married and I get into recovery, I break out all this storage, and she goes through it, and she's looking through records, because we're trying to figure out what we're going to do financially. I know that there is money out there, but they probably don't know how to find me. When I was in my addiction, I didn't really care. But now that I'm sober and I got a family, I thought it would be good for her to go through that. She's a former IRS agent. She understands administrative stuff around money very, very well. And so, yeah, she found that paperwork along with some other things. And that kind of set it up where I presented it to all parties, to all interested parties. And what I was told, and this was 2005. Okay, we've registered this song only 90% of it. So there was a missing 10 the whole time. And that money has been put into, I don't know, a trust or whatever. So I'm asking for my share of that from back then. They tell me no to that, but we'll start from right now. So when the Us movie came out, my paperwork was already established and kind of well known and was on the record. But there was still some problems, because when the music director for Us went to check, BMI still had it at 90%. So they couldn't find me. So that lady thought that she had did all her due diligence. And then I hear the commercial, and then I got to reach out for them. And now they're all stressed because they believe that I'm trying to be litigious, and I'm just trying to let them know that no, you're playing a lot of my voice. To just make sure that I have the paperwork. So that ended up working out based on what I had established right after I got 5 on it.
Okay, so with the song, I mean, it has an everlasting presence in the lexicon of hip hop, probably being arguably one of the top one or two smoking anthems in the game. So, did you have to change any of the lyrics, or did you write the original lyrics to the hook? Like, how
For
did
I
that
Got
play
Five
out?
on It?
Yeah.
Oh, the I Got Five on It was the idea the kids brought. That was something that they were saying out there around weed.
Uh huh.
But the lines in between, I helped form those because what they gave me, the cadence didn't work in what I was hearing in my head to go in between the la 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 la, all that stuff in between. That's where I did my writing. Like I said, I shortened some of the stuff up, got the cadence right, and then did it in the sense that when it was done, man, and I heard that, I was like, this is gonna be a hit. And like I said, I was in my addiction. I remember vividly just the way they all kind of responded to that. Like,
Hmm.
yeah, right. How would you know? That kind of thing, like, yeah, sure, why, yeah, yeah, yeah. I was like, no, this is some shit. This is a smoker's anthem. What you're talking about is more on point with what's going on in the weed world as far as on the streets than I smoked two joints before I smoked two joints, which at that point was the smoker's anthem. You know that song?
Hmm. Yeah. So, I from what I recall, I don't remember you being in the music video. And have you ever performed a song with the with Yuck and Numb?
So the music video, they called me to go to Frisco to the White Horse, which is a strip club on Market. So I went there, and my memory is that there was no one else there as far as the group. Um, my representative brought me somebody who worked with Tone. It might have been Lance Spencer from Dollars and Spence Records back then, because that was the little conglomerate that was working. So my memory is that there was no other members of the group there, but they wanted to record me singing the hook. So there is a scene at the very first time that the hook comes in the song in the video of me singing, and there's some girls dancing around me. I got a black shirt on. Camera passes by me, and it catches me saying the phrase, "I got five on it," and that's it. And as far as me performing with them, again, I was in my addiction.
Hmm.
I think the kids looked at me as just uh, a has-been crackhead. I mean, rumors was 10 years before them, and to kids, that's a long time. And there wasn't nothing new from us that they would have known from to respect it a little bit more than that. So I don't think that they really even considered me having to be there. But I was never invited. Um, they've come up with a thing to do at the shows that they can do when the singer not being there. The artist can say, "Yeah, I got five on it," and then they can just say, "Bitch," and then they wait around until the next thing. But no, never invited. The only time that I sang on stage while that song was going, and a member of the Loonies was there, was in Sweden, and it was at a rap battle event, and the song started to come on. Now I'm there because I'm performing on another stage doing my solo stuff with this other cat from Frisco named Equipta. But in this other room, that song comes on, so I walk by, and I'm looking, and I say, "Oh, that's Yuck." So I run up on stage. They don't stop me, so I grab the mic, and then I just start singing it. Uh, he didn't complain or anything like that. He was happy to see me, but
Yeah.
that was the only time.
All right. So, in my interview with Marcus, which you saw the clip of, I pretty much came up with a fantasy tour that would include Timex Social Club, Club Nouveau, In Vogue, Tony, the Loonies, Foster and McElroy, everyone sort of in that 6 degrees of separation box under that Timex Social Club tree. And Marcus, is all for it, but he kind of had his doubts that it would ever come to fruition. And then you hit me up. So, what's your thoughts on one, a possible reunion with Marcus and the other members of Timex Social Club, and then I guess burying the hatchet with Jay and sharing a tour with Club Nouveau and others?
I don't think that that would be impossible, especially if there was money involved. That would bring pretty much all the parties to the table, I think, without it being a problem. Um, as far as the members of Timex, we've interacted socially since all of that, in kind of a healing kind of thing. It's not all as sweet as it used to be, but it's not what it used to be. So I think that that could happen. I believe Marcus does shows under the Timex umbrella. Club Nouveau does shows under the Timex Social Club's name and umbrella. There are various recordings of Timex songs that have Grady Prater, Samuel singing them. So I don't think that there would be a problem music-wise for us all to kind of come together and show what it was. But the fact that the way you worded it was that it would be under the Timex umbrella, even though we are first, even though those talent shows that I was doing back in high school, young, great musicians, before they were known as the Tonys, came and performed in those talent shows. The Timex Social Club was the godfather of all of this, that particular sound, especially with those producers, because they went from us when they could not get me anymore, and they went and started doing things with other artists, basically with the same kind of sound. So I don't think it would be a problem. You give us all different dressing rooms, and you pay us all. I think it would be dope. It could be like a Motown review kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
For the
I
record,
agree.
I'm in.
Okay. Well, that's you and Marcus, because he said you two haven't shared a stage, and he has music that's specifically meant for you to sing. So
Yeah. But see, the thing is, yeah, some of that stuff is that he feels that I should sing that. Something that I believe that would work. So I don't want to do new stuff that I feel uncomfortable doing. We should do the stuff that was already established that worked well. Because if he's writing music for me without me doing the music, I don't know how I'm going to take to that and how it could be magical like the other equation we used to have. And the other thing is, there's really no need for all of us to be there. Alex doesn't have to be there. We don't need a DJ. Marcus is clearly going to do that, because we're not going to have Marcus up there singing. We're not going to do that. So it's all doable. We just have to understand the parameters and what's really going on.
Okay. So let's talk about post I Got Five on it. You releasing solo material, working with like you mentioned earlier, Crypto. You've had numerous collaborations with E40. Do the new artists of the Bay reach out to OGs such as yourself, and vice versa? How is that relationship?
Because of the years that I did with the Crypto, which was brought together through Andre Nicotina, aka Dre Dog, that introduced me to a whole nother audience. After I got clean, I wanted to get back into doing music. I had hella stuff inside of me I felt like I should try to do. I had a buddy who went to school with us. His name was Nick Reese, and he had an independent label called $1 Million Dream. And he believed in my comeback and my recovery. So he helped me find some producers who had some tracks, and I started picking tracks and doing these songs to them. And that first project that I did out of recovery was called Love, Lies, and Life. Then I did Soul of the Bay, and then there's 5 other ones. You can find those all on my website. But I wanted to control what was going on. The other stuff I didn't have any control over. I figured if I did this my way and all the stuff that I've learned now, it's been 20 years now, at that point, I can incorporate that into my own solo career. So that's what I did. But it takes an engine to be behind you. We're no longer selling cassette tapes out of the trunk where I can drive around and introduce my stuff to people. Everybody's online looking, and then they're being inundated with what's already popular, much like the radio was back then. So as an independent artist with no label or marketing department behind you, it's kind of an uphill battle. And that's what I fought with since 2005. I've got solo albums since 2005. But yeah, I still do it. And with Nick Reese, the whole plan was to introduce myself to the younger generation who didn't really know who I was, but knew my music. So I went on tour with Andre Nicotina and Equipto and did I Got Five on it. And then a couple of other songs from this new album, started introducing myself to this new generation. And that's how I got the following and the love that I enjoy right now. Because it's not the same people from back in the day with the rumor stuff. And then there was never no connection with me to I Got Five on it. So the people who have love for Michael Marshall, aka Mike Meezy, are all from 2005 to now. So I try to nurture that audience. And I've been doing so many features with so many artists around the Bay Area and out of the state also. So I have thousands of features on rap artists out there in the world, and then my solo project. So there's tons of stuff I'm trying to push and keep me busy. And as I get older, I'm trying to do this cover project and then retire. Because I was a marijuana farmer for a while after I got in recovery because I needed something to kind of keep my mind off. I was addicted to crack to keep my mind off of cocaine. So I became a trimmer, and then that parlayed into the farmer, and then having my own place and doing that for the last 18 years.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, doing music and trying to promote that music. But now I'm ready to retire and just sit out in the sun.
What's the name of your farm?
Meezy Grown.
Okay. And I'm sure you play I Got Five on it all the time.
Yeah.
As
It's
background.
time for the music. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Helping the strains
Yes, sir.
grow.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Nice. So I also read somewhere that you wrote for NSYNC and Backstreet Boys.
I went to Germany around the time that I Got Five on it came out because, to be honest, I was trying to quit doing drugs. So I was like, let me just get out of the Bay Area and go somewhere else where I can do music. So I Got Five on it was the #1 song in Germany, right? They didn't really know what it was about, but they were trying to promote the song, but they couldn't get the artists over because the guys were, it was still a new song. So the record label wasn't as invested into them as they needed to be. I think they were on an independent, which got signed to a larger one, but they weren't in a position where they could leave the United States. You got to have a passport, and you got to be able to, you have to have no problem. So I think there were some issues around those two young cats and some of the guys who were involved with them being able to go overseas. So they weren't able to, the people over in Germany weren't able to reach them. But there was a lady who was from the Bay Area who was over there working, and she was in a session that I was in, and she was talking about this song, and we were like, man, what song are you talking about? She said, you guys ain't heard it? It's the new weed song. And he's like, we smoke weed. What is the song? And she described I Got Five on it. So I told her who I was, and she put me in connect with those folks out there, and they asked me to come out there to promote it. So I went out there. That parlayed into me working for BMG label in Munich, and that's the label that NSYNC actually was assigned to, and I was a writer. So I wrote for other artists, but those are some of the people that I wrote for.
Okay.
None of my stuff got accepted though.
Uh-huh.
But that's what my job was for 3 years while I was out there.
Okay. All right. So just tell our audience about any upcoming projects. I know you mentioned that you want to do a cover album and then call it quits on recording. Anything else you have going on at the moment?
I'm still doing work for hire, so you can always call and request me. You can find me on IG under THE Mike Meezy. That's MEEZY, and reach out for me. I got a great price. I'm sure you'll love the work. You can find me at my website, michaelmarshallusa.com, where you can find a link to all of those albums that I mentioned. And yeah, look forward to and stay tuned for a cover album of songs that I sing in the shower. So I'm excited about that. I got 2 of them in the can. I'm trying to get back onto that. But this pandemic shit, man, it really kills the creative juices.
Yeah, like if you like me, I've pretty much been stuck in the house the last 16, 17 months, not around people. So then it's
Yeah.
going to take time to get accustomed to being around others to collaborate.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
so,
And feel comfortable. Exactly. Exactly.
all right, Michael Marshall, aka Meezy.
Latroy.
Yes,
Oh,
sir.
here's the
Yeah,
story
Durham
with
story.
Latroy.
Let me get a Durham story.
Okay, so it's not about Durham, but look, thinking about you, the song we were talking about earlier, right? The
Right.
one Marcus wrote the words for about me and an ex-girlfriend and how he watched the relationship and how it started and then ended. Um, that song was a classic in Lenore, North Carolina,
Uh-huh.
which is my mother's name, Lenora.
Mm-hmm.
So I did not know this at the time. So in the 80s, 86, 87, that song was what they played to close out the night at the club. When that song came on, I mean, last call. So it's a long song. So you'd be able to go to the bar, get your drinks, to get that last thing in before the lights come on, get your numbers on. It was a thing. So a guy invited me to come out there, I think 6 years ago.
Right.
I went to Lenore and played in this little, what do they call it? Like a armory. It's like
Right. Yeah.
like a auditorium a little bit.
Yeah,
I
we have
went
plenty of those.
Yeah. I went there, dude, and I did some other songs, and they were like just checking it out. But it was a lot of people there. I was surprised. I was like, wow, a lot of people who know me out here. That's a trip. The song "Thinking About You" started, and they sang the entire thing. I did not have to sing a note. They sound just like me, and they were going crazy. I had never seen that. That's one thing I wish Marcus could experience.
Right.
Just to see that in person, these people reacting to his song. I mean, that's there was some confusion at some point about that. I might have even claimed it as mine, but as my mind cleared up off the drugs of the last 16, 18 years, I realized what happened when that song was created. So yeah, I wish he could see that. It blew my mind, and that kind of gave me a boost, got me back to performing and being out there and just doing my thing, knowing that there are people who have that song as part of their history.
Right. Well, a quick question before we close, kind of tied to that. So, like when Master P remade "Thinking About You" and had one of his producers from Beats by the Pound singing your part, what was your thoughts on that? How do you feel about other artists? I guess trying to uh, remake your vocals.
I don't really have a problem with it. I mean, I wasn't feeling those vocals, but I really didn't know the song at the time. But the best part about that and the best part about that story is that dude, Master P, is a real businessman. I
Yeah.
mean, he's not really out there trying to cheat people. You know, he's making his money. There's no need for him to do that. So him using that, even that street educated dude who didn't really know the business, he did it on the independent thing and learned it as it went. He knew that there was something that had to be paid for using that. So he put it to the side. And when we reached out for him, because he didn't know how to find us, when we reached out for him, it was right there. It was not a problem. I appreciated using it. I needed that money at that time.
Right. Nice. All right. So, Michael Marshall,
Yes, sir.
aka Mr. Meezy,
Latroy
uh,
Grinder.
lead vocalist from Timex Social Club,
Yes,
told you
sir.
to stop spreading those rumors.
Yes,
Then,
sir.
hit us with "I Got Five" on it. The memorable vocals.
Yes, sir.
Sir, we appreciate you. Um, I'm glad you persevered through all of the industry BS,
Yes,
sir,
sir. Yes,
and
sir.
you still standing strong. So I'm glad we had this opportunity so you could receive some flowers
Thank you, sir.
and stay healthy, stay blessed, and thanks for sending me that track. I listened to it the other day. Stop,
Use
look,
it,
and
man.
listen.
That's
Okay.
perfect for you. Use that. Find the nice piece that fits.
I listened to it. I like where the hook starts. It's like at the
Yeah.
39-second mark. So
Yeah.
that's
Perfect.
perfect. Yeah.
Good.
So
Good.
so
Thank
sir,
you.
you welcome here anytime you want to chat. You got something new on the horizon, you just reach out and we can talk again.
Okay.
And for Stop, Look, and Listen, I'm your
Okay.
host, LaTroy Gardner. See you next week. Peace and blessings.
Peace.
Thank you for checking us out on YouTube, and be sure to subscribe for more great content. And don't forget to check out our website at GOBRadionetwork.com.